Now that's a cute baby.
Are we on?
I believe we are. I have a Romanian friend. I have a Czech one too. Hey.
I'm looking down here through the live streams on YouTube, and I'm sure it's going to show up here someplace, but
Should be on your page, I believe.
well, I'm looking on my page for live stuff. Maybe it takes a little while maybe to come up. I don't know. I don't care. I was just hoping we could see it. What? You ready then?
They must have shaken loose a cord or something.
What?
Well, just with the thing. You're good. We're good. Yes, I believe we are live.
What? But what happened to the music?
It stopped.
Great, just great. Okay, well, anyway, let's continue on. I had it on here before on the phone, and for some reason, we're figuring it out one of these days. We have to write a checklist, I guess. Anyway, this is Jimmy Doane Show, and I'm Jimmy Doane. And we're here with Counselor Curtis.
That is I.
Yes, that is I, actually. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, because we had always had an argument in the English class, when somebody knocks on the door and the guy says, "It's me."
Right.
But to say it's I, you just go, wow, who are you?
Yeah, well, that's the problem with having two personal pronouns with no real distinction between them, except one's used as an object and one's used as a subject. I mean, that doesn't...
What are the pronouns in Spanish? Don't they?
Just yo.
That's for, yeah.
I guess they have me as well, yeah. So, yo is I. But it's a useless distinction from my perspective. Now, like Hawaiian has some extra pronouns for things like you all, but not me.
Uh-huh.
And all y'all, and like two of y'all, but not the third one or something. They have like a few extra pronouns, and they're kind of useful once you get into it.
Obviously, that's just, once you learn. That's one of the things I'm always convinced that everybody ought to learn a second language, even if it is Hawaiian.
Yeah.
But
well, Hawaiian's a super simple little pidgin language, obviously. Little
okay.
island language. It's nothing burger.
Okay.
14 letters. I mean,
what can you do with that?
What can you do with 14 letters?
Yeah. Well,
what can you say?
Are they all vowels?
No.
I mean,
no.
like Japanese is like.
Well, yeah, Japanese attaches a consonant to each of their vowels. So it's like two-letter combinations from our perspective.
Right.
The letters are like ka, ke, ki, ko, and ku. And, ta, te, chi, because they alter it.
Yeah, you have to have
te
chi.
and to.
Okay.
Yeah, anyway.
Okay, that's because you speak Spanish. I would imagine some of our listeners or watchers or whatever, probably not fluent in Japanese. Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to start off today. We got about 4 topics.
Okay.
I think about 4. Venezuela. We have a Venezuelan update, and of course more of Obamacare, which is always fun. And then there's a new law in New Jersey where they're really starting to clamp down, and a really neat story about lesbians, which I thought was kind of cute. So we'll talk.
Okay.
Let's start off with the Venezuela. It says raises wages 50%.
Did the problem solved?
Problem solved. Well, except, not quite. I mean, almost problem solved, but the problem.
Why didn't they think of that before?
Well, again, you see that here's the deal. I guess it's getting a little out of hand since inflation is running at 500%. And this is a 50% raise in how much money you get, which doesn't come close. Not close.
It gives you 1/10 more.
Yeah, 1/10 more as the price went up 10 times. Mm-hmm. They did open the Colombia border again, so people don't have to take as we talked about yesterday, the 36-hour road trip. Yeah, road trip. So they opened that up, and everybody can get medicines and toilet paper and so forth. So Nicolas Maduro, unilaterally raised the minimum wage 50% and announced that his oil and foreign ministers will visit producer countries to lobby for price increases. ahead of the OPEC meeting. What he wants to do is to have everybody out there, the OPEC people, raise the oil price.
Right.
There's a little problem with that, of course, because we would be fracking again in about a nanosecond.
Well,
and so we managed to, a lot of those people that went belly up or whatever in North Dakota and places, now they don't like, apparently the citizens of Florida don't like fracking, because we got oil down here when you do that, but they've decided to shut that off.
Well, from what I've read, our fracking oil producers have not really gone belly up so much they've just shut down production.
Right. But I mean, the workers all had to come home.
Yeah, well, for now, like you said, though, they could crank back up in a minute if oil went back up to 100.
If you live in Missouri, it's a 12-hour road trip to get back up to work.
Right.
So no, that's the problem. That's the problem always, of course, with monopolies, is that there's always another way to do it that holds the price down. You might, and that was what the Saudis were trying to do for a while. They were flooding the market. And of course everybody goes, and this is what people talk about monopoly. They say, well, if you have a monopoly, I mean, all they're going to do is lower the price until everybody goes out of business, and then they'll raise it right back up again. No, sorry, doesn't work that way.
They can try.
And guess what? All those people come flooding back in.
Right.
That's just.
That doesn't account for our technological advances in the meantime.
Well, the technological advances are the ones that put fracking on the table.
Exactly. So because oil was $100.
Right. Exactly. And so. I mean, that was like last year. I mean, this is, and it plummeted down, and now they're trying to get it. So you can talk all you want about doing it, but good luck. So, I mean, this is going to do nothing for them. And he said, he added he could order a further minimum wage here down in Venezuela again by next year, if necessary. I mean, I'm sitting there, these people are dying. I mean, every day, I won't say it's exactly like the Wehrmacht or whatever it was that when they had that uber inflation over in Germany, in the Weimar Republic.
Right.
And but still,
it's getting close.
Well, no, I mean, here's the deal. They were, it was going so fast that they would get paid, at lunchtime, and they would take lunch off and go buy stuff before the prices went up. And that lasted almost no time. What I really wanted to do was to collect one of those Weimar stamps, like they did in a lot of places. You see the stamp, and then it's like a 10-cent stamp or 10-mark stamp, and stamped over it is 100,000 DM or something, 100,000 Deutschmark. So. They didn't even bother to redo them.
They just wrote on them all.
They just wrote on them. Yeah, that's right. So this was the third wage increase this year. So I guess there's hope.
Well, interesting. The minimum wage, proponents of the minimum wage always imagine or believe that we can raise the minimum wage without consequences.
Right.
You can just increase the cost of labor to all producers across the board, and they won't react.
Right.
And that's, I think, a big fallacy.
Of course it is, but it's interesting to see how the raise the wage people, their logic is.
Well, they come out with a study, and then they all cite the study. They'll come out with a little micro example.
Right. They had one, for instance, between New Jersey and Pennsylvania when the last thing came up, and it went from 625 to 725 federal, what it was, and they said, and what happened was, I think New Jersey raised theirs first or something like that, and see, it all stayed the same. Everybody was still working everything. Well, it was a peananny little amount, number one, and I don't know. It takes a few days for that to click in when you start to replace. I mean, it takes a while to build those robots and the kiosks, where you put the money in and get your hamburger out or whatever. I mean, that doesn't happen overnight, but it's happening more and more.
Right. Well, that's what it just comes down to, as we've talked about before, marginal economics.
Right.
If you're going to raise the cost of labor, then there, on the other side of the equation, there has to be some commensurate raise, or either they have to cut the number of laborers, or they have to raise their prices.
Right.
One or the other. Something's going to happen. Otherwise, you're just effectively creating wealth out of thin air, which we all know doesn't work.
No, not for long anyway. But you're right. I mean, the fact is that when they raise the wages, the owner of the establishment is going to look around and say, this guy's not earning his weight. He's not pulling his weight. I'm going to have to let him go.
Right.
And this happens, especially in the restaurant business and what they call the hospitality business. Those people, a lot of them are paid minimum wage. And once you start to raise it on them, they'll find another way to do it. Maybe the customer will have to wait longer.
Right.
And that's the same as shrinking the chocolate bar. It goes from 6 ounces to 5 ounces. Same package. But I mean, business people are not idiots. They're not deliberately going to go out of business because of this. They're going to. But now there have been some that have had to go out of business.
It happens.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, but they it's funny because once the government steps in and mandates something like this, I mean, at the point of a gun, and I always ask myself, why do you have a gun in this equation? I mean, the market would dictate.
Well, the theory is that what you have are rich business owners who are just raking in the cash, sitting on their island somewhere.
And they have huge
profits, and they can afford to take, well, we know they have huge profits because they have a Mercedes-Benz or whatever, and a nice mansion and whatever. So, and the concept in the believer's mind is that those people will just cut their own their own income.
Yeah, they're going to yank their kid out of private school.
Sure. They
stuff
don't
like that.
And stop paying their mortgage on their $1 million house or whatever it is. But
it's only fair.
Well, right.
I mean, it's just fair. They shouldn't have that kind of money. What they do to earn it? They're earning it off my back. I'm the one doing all the work here, and that's. And he's collecting it all. That's my blood and sweat that is in his mansion. Well, he doesn't deserve it.
They had that guy a couple of years ago who changed his business structure to provide every single employee
$75,000.
Yeah.
That lasted about 3 months.
No, I think it's still going on.
No. There was a thing on Yahoo the other day. See where that guy is now. No, it didn't last any time at all.
Well, I read that thing on Yahoo, and from what I saw, the guy was still implementing the strategy. Some of his people had upped their schools and moved closer to the business and such like that. Now he dropped his salary from $1 million a year down to $70,000, and apparently though he still wants to crank it back up. What's happened though is his sales have doubled because of the advertising that he got out of the whole thing.
Wow. Okay, I stand corrected then, because I could have sworn that he stopped it after about 6 months. Okay, well,
I just saw the other day.
I saw that article, and it was where is he now? And the reason I didn't click on it because I was going to say he's out chopping wood. Or
right. Well, I figured as well, but I went ahead and read it. The thing that I would offer about this, first of all, he has a really novel business. It's an interesting digital accounting type of firm. So there's some elasticity in his business, that, and also he's one of such a tiny group of people who made this promise that he got all of this benefit from being the hero.
Yeah.
And obviously, if everybody did that, people couldn't double everybody's business because there's just not that much money going around.
Well, you give to one charity, you don't give to all of them.
Right. And so this guy sort of ran away with the ball.
Yeah.
And maybe it'll work. We'll see. I'm with you. The jury's still out on the guy.
I think the jury's still out.
And,
you see this kind of unique stuff all the time that goes for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some of the stuff that appeared on the internet for the first time. There was a guy that sold. He had a big square.
Yeah.
Remember that guy?
Yeah.
And he had 1 million places in there that you could own.
Right.
Well, of course, people were going in there and buying 6 or 8, and they were like $1 each or something like that.
Right.
Like they were $1 each for each little square.
For each pixel.
And he sold out. I mean,
I bet he did.
Yeah, but no, not everybody can do that. So
yeah, no, that's a one-time thing.
Yeah,
it's a one-off.
Yeah. So anyway, that is the deal on Venezuela.
All right, let's transition.
I'm sorry for pounding on the table. When I pound on the table, the thing shakes, and I'm going to try and not do that. All right.
No problem. Dun, 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 dun. And we're back.
Okay, good. This is an article from our local Gainesville mullet wrapper here, which I had to subscribe to. Or I didn't subscribe to it. I had a friend of mine gave me a month for my birthday, and so I'm able to, until the end of August, I can get online and get some of this stuff. Medicare estimate renews cost concerns over Obamacare. Well, surprise, surprise. Of course, this is one of those things that, once again, after 8 years, if you want your doctor, you can keep it. If you like your plan, you can keep it, blah, blah, blah. Well, of course, that's nothing like that. I mean, you're not going to pay any more money. The cost of expanding Medicaid to millions more low-income people is increasing faster than expected, the government says, raising questions about a vital part of Barack Obama's health care. What's happened in a recent report to Congress, Centers for Medicare and Medicare Services, the cost of the expansion was almost $6,400 per person for 20. That's per person, almost $6,400 per person expansion. Well, it's interesting because here in Florida, Governor Scott got pilloried for not accepting the government bribe to go on the government Medicare plan. We still do the original or whatever it is here.
Right.
And so and of course he pilloried because the older people are going to die in the streets, blah, blah, blah.
Not accepting the matching
for not
funds.
accepting the matching funds from the federal government. And of course, one of the things is, you take the Queen's shilling, you do the Queen's bidding. I mean,
Right.
that's what, and they call it a bribe. I mean, so and so has the word bribe is in here. Let's see. We were told all along that the expansion population would be less costly. They are turning out to be far more expensive, says this fellow. The new estimates could be a warning light for Democrat Hillary Clinton, who has promised that if elected, she would work to expand Medicaid in the remaining 19 states that have not done so, which Florida is one of them. And of course, it would make it harder for President Clinton to sell Obama's full thing to all the other stuff that she wants to stick in.
So you're telling me that socialized medicine costs more than it was expected to?
And amazingly much more. I mean, it's just stunning. It's putting a big hole in the budget. I mean, where are you going to get this money? Well, I guess you run it to the Federal Reserve, and then they give buy some bonds from the Treasury, and they print it off. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that raises the deficit, and the budget and the deficit, because there's no money left over. The budget, the $4 trillion budget, when you watch it, the stack of books there and everything, and bottom line, $4,320,18, and and of course it's a lie because they're getting ready to promise the budget. They start the budget hearings, I guess, the October 2nd. I guess they started in January because October 1st is the beginning of the fiscal year for the FedGov. But they're obviously going to realize that they're caught in a vice, rock hard place
spiral.
Yeah, and so it'll.
Well, they wanted people like me to be on the exchange
Yeah.
and pay for stuff, and I opted out.
Yeah.
For now. Of
For
course,
now, yeah.
I
Well,
need
they're
to pay the penalty.
I mean, as I've said before, any federal benefit that is, you need a gun in there someplace. If you
It's
don't
all
do
over.
it, we're going to arrest you, throw you in jail. I mean, I just wonder why is there a gun there if this is such a good deal? I mean, why is there a gun in the equation? And of course, there's guns in all the things. But you think, how good is that if you have to threaten me with bodily harm or jail time or fines? So anyway, the nonpartisan experts at the CMS office, I guess that's some kind of office of the actuary. I don't know what CMS is, probably some accounting group. Actuary wrote in their report that they had been expecting per person cost to decrease in 2015.
Yeah.
But the opposite happened.
It's so weird.
Costs went up. Really strange. How could they not see that?
Yeah.
I mean, when you're making your estimate, a year ago, and you say, well, all the data indicate that costs are going to go down. A year later, well,
They just assumed that people like me would be totally patriotic and decide to donate an extra $450 a month to the new socialized medicine program.
Yeah.
That be better off spent on rent or something.
Well, they have somebody else they called and said that the overall cost of Affordable Cares Act coverage. This is an insider acolyte in the administration. What do you call it? A bureaucrat. expansion is still lower than estimated when the law was passed in 2010. However, other factors besides per person cost enter into that overall figure. They include the total number of people enrolled, which has been lower because many states have not expanded Medicaid, Florida, for instance. So anyway, that's the deal on surprise, surprise, unexpected socialism is not working in the healthcare department. And I don't know, I mean, there's a country here just locally across the Gulf here that is socialist.
Well, yeah, I'll say this. Every time I hear some American tout socialism, they always cite some of our more entrenched socialist structures, such as our fire protection. And they say something like, you like fire protection, don't you? Well, it's obviously socialized, and yet you like it. So therefore you like socialism. And my question to them is, how much does your fire protection cost you?
Right.
And your answer is you don't know.
Don't know.
Because you don't get to even play in that bargain.
No. In fact, I think it's tomorrow is the fire union meeting for bargaining on their new salaries or whatever.
There you go.
And of course that goes through obviously they're going to want more fire engines and
what?
Yeah, right. I mean that's there's never enough protection.
Well, and my thought is you can't measure the quality of the service, of the fire service that we're getting, because we don't know how much we're paying for it.
Right.
So for all we know, we could be paying for twice the fire protection that we get.
Right.
And you don't know because it's not even a line item in your taxes. It's nothing. It's just part of the socialist program that you believe in.
And of course that belies the thought that there's a remote possibility that you might be able to privatize it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I mean, if somebody came up with
they have volunteer fire departments in smaller places.
Yeah, and you would expect that a volunteer fire department could come online if the prices were super high and say, look, we'll cover your neighborhood. You all just chip in $5 a piece instead of the $50 that you're paying the further away fire department or whatever it is. And again, like you said, we don't know because it's totally entrenched, socialized.
Well, they're going to claim that they save lives.
Of course they are, and of course they do. The question is, how much per life are you charging us?
Well, they had one. They were all panicky because it wasn't here in Florida, I don't think, but 2 babies died in a fire. Well, now we got to go up all the fire requirements for everybody in the country. My point is that you could. If you get out of the house, and of course when they come over and spray the whole place with water, it's destroyed anyway.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I mean, not always. I mean, hotels and stuff might be able to recover from. But I mean, if your house, for them to save it. Now, I will say that they did save one of Mrs. Jimmy's apartments. However, it turns out that the fire department is literally across the street. Literally, it is. You can. If you had a fire in that house, you could walk outside and say, "Hey, it's here."
Right.
I mean, so they did manage to save, half the house.
Well, and I will laud their efforts. Every firefighter that I know is a super professional person. They're in great shape. They do great work. They get there in no time when the fire happens.
And you notice there's no gun involved.
Well, there is a gun involved.
Well, for the tax part.
That's right. My point to them is not that you guys aren't doing a fabulous job. It's how much are we paying for it, and could it be possible that we could pay half that, or a tenth that, or a third of that, or whatever it is?
Never happened.
Well, well, we won't know at least until we start to embrace more capitalism in the system. Another perfect example I saw driving down the road the other day is Bob's barricades everywhere.
Yeah, right.
You still see those everywhere. Bob is obviously retired on some island somewhere.
Yeah, right.
And nobody ever questions how many barricades we have to pay for when they're lined 10 miles down a road somewhere because they're apparently working on 10 miles simultaneously. And they're obviously not, because it would take a crew of 50,000 to work on 10 miles simultaneously.
Yeah.
And so it just illustrates that here we have.
It may turn out that Bob is the least expensive one. Maybe he is. Maybe he bids on it, and somebody else bids on it, and Bob, because he's so huge, it comes through on the low bid.
Could be.
Yeah.
But it'd be nice if we, the payers, were informed of how much we're paying.
Well, it's interesting because
And had a
with
choice.
the sheriff's office, of course, she never backs. I mean, and as one of our county commissioners always is calling her to task. Could we see your budget? And she says it's none of your business. You allocate. It's up to me to divide up the budget. And one year, for instance, they allocated some money for, I think it was either for new cars or for sheriff's raises. Whatever it was, she spent it on the other thing, and that pissed him off. But it was like $500,000, big deal. The sheriff's budget is 63 or 64 million bucks. So it's a huge chunk. So that takes care of the poverty thing or whatever we were talking about here. Medicaid.
Yeah.
And we graduated right over to the fire department. I'm doing this all the time.
All right, we're going to transition. Woohoo! Jimmy Doane. Okay, and we're back.
Okay, I get complaints all the time about tangents, which I'm really good at.
What?
Yeah, what? Okay, here's a headline that I picked out I thought was kind of cute. Only in New Jersey. Well, that's BS. They're getting ready to pass a bill that would ban motorists from drinking coffee and driving.
Is this for distracted driving purposes?
Yes, exactly. That's what it is.
What, is it coffee in particular, or is it all drinks and food?
You have to understand, New Jersey already draws ire for not letting people pump their own gas.
Right. I
So
saw
that's-
that.
yeah,
Well, you're not qualified to.
Yeah, well, not
Pump
only that.
gas.
Yeah, right. It's a
New
jobs
Jersey.
thing.
Yeah.
So under consideration is just prohibit any activity unrelated to the actual operation of a motor vehicle in a manner that interferes with the safe operation of the vehicle on a public road or highway. So that means no coffee cups for those sitting in traffic. And the fines are huge. I mean, huge. First one's $150 up to about $400 or $500. You go to jail after about the third one.
Yeah, well, for sure. This is distracted driving, and this is more thought crime. You don't have to hurt anybody. You don't have to try to hurt anybody, and nobody has to get hurt. But you can go to jail. You can go to prison. I've defended people who've gone to prison for a term of years in prison for driving with no accidents and no DUIs, just because they violated a licensing rule enough times.
Right.
And what are you going to do? And they're going to throw them in prison.
Yep.
And that's what they're going to do to you as well. And
If they catch you
Right.
with a coffee cup in your car, in your coffee holder.
and I've seen arguments against there being a radio in the car.
Yeah.
Because you changing the radio station, you're endangering people, and then I've seen arguments against having passengers in the car.
No.
Because a passenger, you turn around to talk to your passenger, and
I
whatever.
notice that they do that in the movies a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, they turn around and talk to the guy in the back seat for 20 seconds, 30 seconds. I'm saying,
See,
crash.
See, that's exactly how it happens.
Yeah.
But to me, these all fall under the rubric of distracted driving.
Right.
And it all comes down to me, one thing, which is all these laws assume that if you're not threatened with some type of legal incarceration or legal action, that you're going to drive just willy-nilly. You're just going to be the reckless person. You won't care. You'll have coffee. You'll be drinking booze, hamburger, talking to your friend, and changing the
newspaper,
reading a book, watching TV on your mini screen. All that stuff together, combined, and tired, and speeding. Which speeding, by the way, is the number one factor in accidents.
Oh, right.
So,
yes. Well, distraction, of course, that's one of the reasons they wanted to ban all the billboards.
Right.
Because
Another
they're
thing.
distracting.
Right. Here's my
Thank you, Lady Bird Johnson.
my tip on all this. Yeah, she put those dang distracting flowers in the meeting.
Yeah.
My tip on all this is very simple. You don't have to worry about anything distracting a driver, because every driver on the road has one thing in the back of their mind at all times, and that is,
I want to stay alive.
exactly. I'm hurtling down the road in an iron machine, and if I make a mistake, chances are I could die. And the chances are a lot better that the driver dies than other people,
But
because
fortunately, via a government mandate, you've got seat belts and a big balloon.
Yeah.
So you're not going to die. That encourages you to run a little faster because I'm not going to die now. The government has saved my butt.
Yeah. Well, you're still thinking about it. There's no getting around it. It's always in your mind. It's always in everybody's mind.
I know that.
I don't care how drunk they are, how upset they are. Drunk people drive super slow.
Yeah, no, that's true.
They do that. You get down there,
and a lot of times they'll even just drive off the road, or something,
Yeah.
into a ditch, having been there and done that.
and it's much more likely that a driver will be killed than anybody else because there's such a huge amount of time wherein the driver is by themselves on the road, and a driver can hit a tree or nothing, just lose control.
Let me tell you, when the roads are under construction, I drive down to Tampa, and they're under construction, and of course the roads are being, at the time, are black. In a rainstorm, at night at I-75,
You can't see anything.
you can't see dork, and I get panicky because I have to go down. Once a year, I have to get out of here at 4:00 in the morning.
Right.
And of course, now we're getting into the shorter days time where it stays dark until 7:00 in the morning or something, and I've got to go all the way down there. And then, of course, you hit Tampa, and it's rush hour. I mean, it's talk about death-defying things. I mean, that drive scares the hell out of me.
Well, unfortunately, this will all go away in about 5 years.
Yes, right,
with the automatic driving.
That is going to be so great.
It will be.
That is going to be, and of course, you realize that it's the private people that are sponsoring that. I mean, Google and all those people are desperately trying to get driverless cars.
Well, and why shouldn't they? I mean, the government has invested a huge amount of money in Tesla, though, obviously.
Right.
And they're experimenting with it as well. I think they're behind the Japanese and the other automakers, though, in terms of their rolling out.
There's tons of them. Everybody's working on them. Chevy, everybody, they're all working on them. And there was an article just yesterday that says I drove 550 miles without touching anything.
No kidding.
Yeah, the guy was on the highway. And then there was the guy last week, the guy that his driverless car saved him.
Yeah, got in and said, "Take me to the hospital."
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah. Well, it won't be long, and they will be telling people. They'll be equating people who pilot their own cars with murderers.
Yeah, right. No, that's right.
You'll be a murderer.
Yeah, you're endangering everybody.
Right.
You're still. It's my understanding you'll still be able to have the Gator Nationals out here with your hot rod, but
probably.
But then, of course, the question is, how do you get the car there?
Yeah, right. Well, you take your automatic vehicle there, I guess.
Your automatic truck. I mean,
Sure.
Your big, trailer truck or whatever it is. Yeah. No, I guess so.
It's still in an incredible spot. The other day I saw a guy got 50 years in prison. 50 years in prison for his eighth DUI.
Right. I saw that. Yeah.
And he had one accident.
Right.
And my thought is, it's clear that he drives this way all the time.
Right.
And yet he's had one accident. How many people out there are accident free?
Yeah.
And it resulted in a death, but we shouldn't measure the accidents by the results because that's ridiculous. Otherwise, anybody could go to prison for life because somebody made a wrong turn or something. If they hit a school bus full of children and they go off the cliff, then you answer to all those deaths? I don't think so. I mean, to me, that's just it's a nonsensical way of looking at it in terms of the harm that's caused. Instead, you have to look at the intent of the person involved.
Thank you, Hillary. That was the intent. That was what they said that she.
Yeah, right. Well, and
Hillary defense.
And I defended her on that situation. That is to say, we both agreed that there shouldn't be a law that says for negligence you can go to prison for the rest of your life.
For as far as I was concerned, it was negligence.
Right. It's fine.
I mean.
And
no, I mean it was criminal negligence.
Okay, so let the families of the Benghazi people sue her or whatever, and they can try to prove whatever they want.
Okay.
But for us to have a criminal statute that throws her in prison for negligence, to me, is just way overboard. It's just
a lot of people are wishing that's going to.
Yeah.
I listen to the Progressive Channel and they do that. Okay, so anyway, we've beat that to death.
Yeah.
So we can go on to the last item here. Let's
Okay.
take a break.
Dun 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah.
Okay, we're back for our last little item here, which I thought was kind of cute, and it's from Chicks on the Right or something like. Lesbians told they have to have straight sex before getting fertility treatment coverage.
I don't even get that. What does that mean?
It means they have to have some dude give it to her, a lesbian.
How are they going to know? Or what's the...
I don't know.
What do you swear? I swear.
I guess. I mean, they and of course, if somebody says...
And for what? You said for them to get fertility treatment coverage.
Yeah.
Which means if they get pregnant, they're like baby insurance or something? Or what does that mean?
Well, let me just see what it says. According to this, lesbian couples in New Jersey again, thank you so much, have been told by their health insurer, which of course, if it's private, they can do anything they want, that they're ineligible for fertility treatment benefits until they have demonstrated that they cannot get pregnant the normal way. And of course, they're massive outrage.
Oh, okay. So these are people who are seeking to collect from their insurance company,
right,
to have some sort of medical procedure done to them,
right,
in order to increase their fertility.
Right. Well, in order to have the official fertility clinic give them the shots or the sperm or whatever it is.
Why would lesbians want to increase their fertility?
They want to have a baby. Happens all the time. They're women. They want to have a baby. That is not unusual.
You kind of have to have a man's...
Well, yeah, that's what they want to go to the fertility clinic. They don't want to have the guy there to... See, that's it. So they're suing.
So the fertility clinic says, that's fine. You have to try first.
Right, exactly. And to prove that you're infertile. You haven't proven. You've just said, we want to have it, and we think we're infertile or whatever. And the insurance company is saying, I don't think so. I think one of you at least is fertile.
Right.
The odds are, so we're not going to cover it until you can prove that you're infertile, and so you've got to go out and have sex a couple of times, real sex, film at 11, whatever.
Right.
And then if you don't get pregnant, then we'll cover you.
Yeah, well, I guess like you said, these are private insurers, so they can
do
say whatever they want.
Again. Well, they say they are being discriminated against by the New Jersey law because straight women who are infertile don't have to pay for fertility treatments. And they're the ones that have gone with the dude.
Right.
And tried for a year or two or something like that. And so then they go and if they have this insurance, we tried, here's my husband,
right,
here's his dick, or whatever.
We swear we tried.
And we tried a lot, and so then they will cover that. But
you can't just walk in there.
You can't just walk in there with
so they're claiming some sort of civil rights discrimination.
That's what they're doing. The Dr. William Ziegler, the medical director of the Reproductive Science Center in New Jersey, had long that insurance coverage had been a problem with fertility treatment. I'm not sure that there was a lot of thought given to the many implications of this, what would cause, and how many New Jerseyans it would exclude. He said of the mandate, it's a double standard. It discriminates against same-sex couples because they don't have the biological equipment to have a baby the way heterosexual couples do. And of course, this guy writing this thing, he says, of course they're infertile without a dude. That's biology. Mm-hmm. So this guy can't even believe this is a conversation because pregnant, no matter how much they like it or not, requires a dude.
Yeah, I think that's
so. And no matter what happens, they still need a dude to do the deal. So anyway, maybe we'll see how that works out. I don't know.
Right. Well, I would imagine that they might be able to provide some evidence that they received some, say, sperm from through some
turkey baster or whatever.
Right. Yeah, and then and that didn't work, and here's an affidavit which says that didn't work, so we need the treatment or something like that.
Again, this as the guy says, why are we even having this conversation? I mean, it's
I bet you they win. I bet you they win millions of dollars.
Well, I don't know. They're suing the state of New Jersey, so they're not going to win much, I don't think.
They're not even suing their insurance companies?
And California and Maryland have updated their definitions of infertility to include gay couples.
Okay.
So, what's next? Will a 50-year-old woman start suing for fertility coverage because of age discrimination?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Or two guys come in and say we can't get pregnant no matter what we do.
Yeah. We might.
I mean,
Well, guys at least can find a surrogate.
right. Well, I'm saying without a surrogate.
Yeah, no, I think even they would realize that that's probably not going to
I
work.
don't know. It sounds like the same argument to me. It's we keep having sex all the time, me and my girlfriend, and and nothing's happening.
Right.
It's crazy.
Let me check down there and see how many holes you actually have there, friend.
Well, I want to talk about one. Are we done there?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. I want to talk about one more thing here.
Okay, let's take a break.
Yep. I just want to bring up. I noticed that a woman was arrested the other day for selling tamales.
Okay, this? Was here in the States, right?
Yeah, in the States.
Texas, I think.
Yeah, I think so. She realized people were in need of a little food, so she went and cooked it up and was serving it out of her house or whatever it is. The neighbor decided
her out.
Right, decided she was endangering children or something.
Right, because she made apparently a really good tamale, and she advertised it like on Craigslist or something.
Okay, and this is a dish that's been served for like 5,000 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mean to say this is traditional human food, but I mean, an orange is less traditional than a tamale.
Right.
It's amazing, and yet this comes back to licensing,
Right.
and the fallacy of licensing, and here we are in America punishing people for serving food. How much more ridiculous can it get?
Got to be inspected because it's poison.
How much more crazy? You don't have to buy the tamales.
Yeah,
You don't
right.
have. It's not like mandatory.
If you get sick, you can sue the lady.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean-
Or at least you can give her a bad review on
Right.
Yelp or something.
Yeah, right.
And yet no.
The state has to walk because they want their piece of the
Now we've
pie.
got cops, attorneys, and judges involved.
Right.
Over this woman's
Not
chicken.
to mention the people that made the law in the first place in the legislature.
Oh yeah. A lot of people
Legislatures.
spend. I mean, there's probably $1 million in human resources already that's gone into the enforcement of this $600 fine.
Right.
It is just mind blowing to me how people accept licensing, and especially for food. You talk to them all the time, and they'll say stuff. Well, if you didn't have restaurant regulators, they'd be serving us poison over and over at every single restaurant.
Yeah. Well, you saw what happened, for instance, with the Jack in the Box or what?
How about Chipotle?
Chipotle. Right. I mean, they were nailed. And how many cases were there? A dozen, maybe?
14, something like that. And their
The
sales.
entire franchise.
You're right.
I mean, from Paris to Tokyo.
Yep.
Suffered.
Yeah, still hasn't recovered.
Right.
And yet, and this is all because people got sick. Has nothing to do with regulations, and that is how the free market handles people who are trying to serve poisonous food. You don't need inspectors. It's the same way you don't need
You notice that all the inspectors in the world, all the king's horses and all the king's men inspectors, didn't catch it.
Right. There you go. Well, obviously there's not enough.
Right.
Double down on those and pay them more and then maybe arrest a few more people before the crimes happen.
Come in there with your tricorder. Look for Ebola or look for whatever it is.
E. coli.
Yeah, E. coli, right?
Yeah. I just wanted to point that out. I hate licensing.
Licensing is a scam.
It is
I mean, they had
anathema.
the one they had the first one that really did the outrage. Excuse me, was this girl who wanted to do braiding.
Right.
She had to go get a cosmetology license.
Right.
What are you talking about? All I'm doing is touching their hair.
Yeah.
They wanted her to go through the $10,000 school, and she says, "I don't even touch scissors."
Right. And pay the licensing fees and everything.
Licensing fee, right? The school and the fee.
That's right. All you have to know about licensing is go to your local palm reader, and she'll have a license on the wall. Somebody certified every palm reader in our state that they were okay to read palms.
Yeah, and how about the guy who throws the bones and tells your future?
Yeah, I'll bet you. I'll bet you.
gotta have a
Tarot
license.
card reader.
Tarot card reader, right?
That's
exactly.
right. Come on in. Oh, I'm sorry you dealt the cards a little wrong there.
Yeah. No, I've inspected that, and that one's wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, they have gone. Somebody was mentioning even here in Gainesville, they have up 10 times the number of licenses since the 50s.
I believe it. Yeah. Well, it's now we've passed the curve. I think we're going straight into the mercantile ish.
And that was, of course, what Adam Smith destroyed was mercantilism in 1776 when he published Wealth of Nations.
Mm-hmm.
He destroyed it. Come back again. Here we are.
right.
Never. Nobody. I mean, they just don't.
Everybody loves licenses and regulators. At this point.
Well, the regulators do.
Yeah, well, of course.
They love it because they get to go out. I mean, the
Right.
guy that came out here and inspected my place.
But there's a chicken and egg problem with every licensing structure, if you think about it. The guy, whoever it is at the top, who issued the first license, obviously didn't have a license.
True.
And obviously didn't have a license to issue licenses.
Yeah.
So,
Sue them.
well, obviously they're false. They're false gods, and
Well, the legislature
I think they
just
should be
deemed that that the licensing authority was okay.
right.
They just deemed
I
it.
think they should be arrested for.
You are okay.
That's it. That's what they do. So anyway, that's that. That's all I want to say.
We're all done.
Yeah.
Good deal. Thanks for watching.
Hey.
We might even post it, eh?
Well, it's already up to some degree. So.